There we go. Hi, everybody.
Oh, goodness.
Hey guys,
Goodness.
I'm just
Oh,
trying to
man.
take advantage of the, social distancing and stuff with Corona.
Good.
So I'd be safe and not expose you guys to anything just in case.
Yeah, it would be powerful coming all the way through the interweb.
Yeah, I appreciate the kindness that your soul is reflecting to us right now. Thank you.
It's because you care.
You mean it doesn't?
It doesn't what?
It doesn't matter, really?
No, you'll be fine.
You're okay, and we're not going to do anything to upset your mode either. So I think you're pretty safe. You can do it
hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
I won't do it.
Put a mask on that skull, though.
Woo!
There we go.
You don't have to do that either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's been 28 years since this crew was together in any sort of broadcast capacity, and I'll give hi everybody. I'm Joe Biondi, Mr. Beans, Phil Cisneros is there, and Lynn Southard, and so I was in a wedding, or not in a wedding, at a wedding a few weeks ago in Kansas City, Missouri, and some friends of ours from Albuquerque were there, and the topic of Biondi and the Bean came up again. And I got to thinking, I said, it has been 28 years. And to me, that's just amazing that anybody remembered that at all. And so I kind of started noodling around, trying to distract myself from all the stuff in the world. And I found this calculator. It said, how many days between this date and this date? And it was 10,064 days. And I went, holy smokes. So I reached out to Phil and I said, hey, I've got this platform that we can, go live on the air and just have a chat and just try to distract ourselves from the stuff in the world. And then I reached out to Lynn. I said, you want to be part of it? And then, here it is. We're together now. And I can't thank you enough. So that's what led up to this. It was just kind of me thinking out loud, which can be very, very dangerous. But, Phil and I have been friends now for about 30 years. Because I started with you in '91, and Lynn, I think we had Eric right before you, right, as our producer, and then you came on.
Correct. Well, actually, right? I think it was. Thank you. I think it was Lori Larson, right? Phil, was it Lori?
Oh.
Lori Larson.
Yeah, and so what I remember is leaving KOBFM and being destroyed. My soul was broken, and listening. And one morning I didn't hear Lori Larson, and I went, Lori's not there. I'm like, nope, she's just out sick. The next morning, she's not there. After you guys got off the air, the moment the last mic turned off, Phil's phone rang, and I go, I want my job back.
That's awesome. Well,
you guys have me at a complete disadvantage because over the years, I still have to, leave breadcrumbs when I go to the store to find my way back. So it hasn't gotten any better. So if you guys want me to remember a lot of stuff, you're going to have to give me some serious cues because I got definitely CRS now that I'm old.
Yeah, well, I got same thing. I'm 59 now, and again, all that time has passed. My wife and I had 2 kids. Our oldest is married. Our youngest goes to the University of Portland. Go Pilots!
Nice.
My oldest works at the Apple Tree Resort, so I've always got to give them props in Yakima, Washington. So, but I've moved to Houston about 3 years ago, and right before we left, one of the weirdest things happened in all of these crazy things. I was at the Isotope Stadium, and I went up to get a beer. And the lady goes, I need to see your ID. And normally I just point at my bald head, And so I pulled the driver's license out and showed it to her. And she goes, Joe Biondi from Biondi and the Bean. And that at that point was 26 years down the line. So, yeah, the entire point of this was with all the craziness going on in the world, I just wanted to have a conversation with a couple of friends from years gone by and just catch up. And if anybody jumps in and enjoys it, I've got a couple of things queued up from when we were on the air that I could play for you. But Lynn, give us a download of where you are, and because you just finished a dissertation, right?
Well, I'm starting my dissertation. My proposal is in. Well, almost. It's at the printer. Picking it up tomorrow. Turning in, I think, Thursday. So I think I'm about, I want to say my sister thinks 15 months from having my PhD, which is great. It's really fun. I'm excited. Yeah. And you didn't think I would do it, did you, Phil? Here I am.
No,
Yeah,
the opposite. I knew you would do it.
No, it's so much fun. I've got a great gig. I mean, life is really, really good. And I think that I'm one of those people because I do work for the state, and I have always been, I mean, I've got great work ethic, partially because of Phil, because you just drilled it in my head. The work is working from home. Now we're like 16 weeks. And I love my gig so much, and it's working continually to help charities come into compliance with state statutes. And talking to these people every day, all day, and being able to have time to have that conversation and be able to lead them down the roadway of coming into compliance, also known as not violating the law, it's so much fun. I absolutely love it. I'm happy as can be sitting at home at my dining room table. My dogs are happy too. Yeah. So
I've got to tell you, Lynn, I am so proud of what you have accomplished. And she's talking about the Attorney General's office because we were working there together for the state. But well, you've always done me proud, and you, Joe, man, buddy, you are something for putting this together. I want to thank you, and I'll probably thank you 100 times in the time that we're talking now. It really means a lot to me that you even remember working with me. The fact that you wanted to put this together just really touched me.
Oh,
so thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're very welcome. I mean, like I said, the radio business can be a little weird, a little crazy sometimes. But I saw an interview one time with Paul McCartney, and they were probing him about all the bad stuff that happened with the Beatles, and you could tell he was getting tired of it. And finally, he turns to the guy, the interviewer, and he just says, "Look, you remember the good stuff. It's like a vacation, And so my memories of prior to working with you, working at Cool 102 in Albuquerque, with all my friends there, and we're still connected. And we started together in Lubbock, Texas, in 1983 or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just very thankful and very grateful to still have friends and then have the opportunity to do things like this because, you remember the Biondi and the Bean Blues Band, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What a blast that was.
That was. Now, here's one of the funny stories, and John Ramsey and I told this story all the time because it was essentially the same band as the Cool 102 band. The only difference was that you were joining me, and when Cool 102 would hire us, we would be the Cool 102 band. And then when KOB-FM somebody would hire us from that, would be the KOB-FM band, right? So one weekend or 2 weekends in a row, one weekend we were the Cool 102 band, and the very next weekend we're the KOB-FM band. And it was essentially the same set list, same songs, the whole 9 yards. And this guy comes up to us after the gig and he goes, "I got to tell you, you guys are great." I said, "Oh, thank you." John and I are standing there. And he goes, it was opposite. It was KOB first and then the Cool 102 band. And he said, "I saw the KOB-FM band last weekend." And we go, "Yeah?" He goes, "They sucked." And it was the same band. We're like, "Thanks." So, there's so many memories like that from all the time there in Albuquerque. I want to remind everybody that's on. We got about 30 people watching. Thank you very much. If you want to make a comment, you can comment and ask a question or whatever, and we'll try to answer it.
Hey, I see at the bottom of my screen, I've got my phone down below my computer screen. Leslie Granger.
Oh, is she there?
Leslie Granger.
Lindy said, "Have fun." Thank you, Lindy.
The voice. I mean, the voice. when I started at KOBFM before Phil came in, and it was Leslie and myself and Peter Benson, and it was just fun. And I just remember looking at Leslie going, I want to be that. Oh my gosh, but nobody can be that. She's got the voice. I mean, there's nobody. There's not another female in radio anywhere that has a better voice than she does.
I wanted to be Leslie Granger. What a voice. No kidding.
You know, that might be a
Holy
good point, place to jump off. One of the things that I showed these videos to my daughters, and they could not believe that we had actually done this. But we had that promotion, Maui in May, and
Maui
Phil and I,
May.
Phil and I dressed up as our mothers and recorded some TV commercials. And Larry Gallegos, who was the producer, along with, I think it was Robert Moore, they worked at Channel 4, right? I think Larry still has videotape of you and I walking down the street in our dresses and our heels. And I told him I'll beat him senseless.
Wasn't the first time for me, huh?
Yeah.
For 93.3 KOBFM's Biondi and the Bean, their mothers.
My son is giving away trips to places all over the world.
That's just like Mr. Bean's, always hogging everything.
I assume you're talking about the roast pig and the Hawaiian luau.
It's Maui and May plus $1,000 cash on 93.3.
Yeah, but just listen to my boy at 7:15 in the morning.
My son's on too.
Yeah, he's a knucklehead.
Well,
Ladies.
Please, listen to our boys.
Music, money, and fun starts with Biondi and the Bean. Mornings on 93.3 KOBFM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
There
time.
you go.
What a spot. Oh my goodness. I've forgotten about that one. But that was a good one.
Yeah. Well, when Harvey hit, Hurricane Harvey, we moved home just in time for Hurricane Harvey because timing's our thing, right? All of my radio archives were in a storage unit where we got like 6 feet of water in that storage unit. So I lost everything. And I was really heartbroken by that. But one of the good things about my mom and dad saving everything is that they saved all these copies of stuff. So I managed to get some of that stuff back, and then started digitizing it, and then scandalized my daughters when they, Dad.
Hey, I've got a question for you. Since this was what, 90, 91?
91 and 92, yeah.
92.
Okay. All right. Well, I got married in Hawaii in 91.
Yes, you did.
On Kauai.
That's right.
So
Yes, you did.
didn't we do something on the show about that?
You would call in. You would call in, and since it was 4 or 5 hour time difference, you were essentially asleep.
Yeah.
And we would do reports of how the wedding went and what was going on there. I think, that's what we did. You would call in, but I think it was the middle of the night where you were, because it was morning where we were.
Amazing. Hey, also before I forget, my brother, I was talking to him the other day because I was telling him about this, and hopefully he got a chance to watch this. He lives out in California, but he asked me a good question. He said, well, exactly what is it that a producer does? Because I told him it was going to be Joe, me, and Lynn, our producer on that show. And he didn't know what a producer really did. So, Lynn, maybe you can kind of tell folks what it is that a producer did that you did for us, other than save our lives every day.
Well, I think what is so funny is I'm amazed that I can actually sit here and not be in excruciating pain, because if you recall, we had Joe's in one studio, you're in the newsroom, I'm outside, but it was going back and forth between the newsroom, getting carts and dubs, and all in high heels. And so your average song is 3 minutes long, 3.5 tops, and we're at the top of the Channel 4 building at this point. So we are in the corner at the top of Channel 4. And if you have to go to the bathroom, you also have to run down the stairs. Love running into Monica Armenta in the kitchen or the bathroom all the time. But, you know, whether it was a commercial or it was a song or it was a dub from the Late Night with David Letterman or any of those folks, it was fantastic. And tossing carts and throwing things and, you know, Joe and sound effects and everything that was going on and going crazy. But you never knew from listening to the radio what was actually going on behind the scenes and it wasn't a bad scream and yell. It was a, oh my God, how can we do this now? Run faster. I need it right now. Hurry, hurry, hurry. You know, thank God the wire was outside your newsroom window, right below on that shelf. And you could jump up and run out and run around the corner and grab it and go. And that was pretty simple. But I think that the most fun was just keeping things on track and knowing where we were. And we would always start out with a game plan, right? You guys had a great game plan or an idea, and we'd start going down the road. It's like, yeah, that's not where we were going to go with that. But we went to great places. It was absolutely fantastic. I had, when Phil worked with me at Radio Disney, several years after we all left KOBFM, and after Phil left, and I was trying to bring up more folks on the crew, I had this fantastic gal apply. She was pumped. She was cute. She was little. She's coming in like with the cheerleader. And she sits down across from me. And I said, so my name is Lynn. I'm the station manager for Radio Disney. And she looked at me, she goes, oh, I know exactly who you are. And I looked at her, I'm like, oh my God. I go, you know exactly who I am? She goes, yeah. I used to listen to you on the radio when I was 6. And I looked at her and I said, so you're in a job interview and you just called me old? And so we talked for a few more minutes. I was like, you're absolutely hired. Absolutely fantastic memory. What a cute Aaron Rizzo.
Well, just to be clear, so that the folks at home know what you did was so much in addition to grabbing music and things like that we needed. But I mean, you set up interviews for us for our live interviews or taped interviews. You kept track of things that were going on in the news that we could comment on. You did so many things. And I'm not sure that producers do the same kinds of things that you did nowadays as they did back then. But really, I think you were the glue that held Joe and I together, because
no doubt.
of us had
so much fun. So much fun. And I can't imagine today, with the technology that exists, that we could not replicate what we used to do, because we didn't have, all of the commercials downloaded on a computer where you just punched a button. We didn't have everything that is available today. I mean, it would be unheard of. So Lisa Grillo, who saved my butt all the time, because I got sick twice a year, would lose my voice. Lisa would call me, hey, so are you getting sick yet? Do I need to work for you now? She just came on and she said, hi guys, Lisa Grillo here. Producers do everything.
Yep. There it
That's
is.
pretty much it. Yeah. I don't know what a better way to put it, really. You did everything to make our jobs easier. And I don't know that a lot of people really knew that, because Joe and I were kind of like the face of the show, if you will. But we couldn't have done it without your help.
The most fun. Carolyn Fishman, who did sales. We talked about her earlier. She says, good to see you all. Carolyn, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Carolyn and I have had the opportunity to work together in totally different businesses over the years as well. We worked for a friend of ours that started his own computer company here in Albuquerque. And Carolyn was over there in sales, which she has always done so well. And I was doing media for a computer company, of all things, but completely out of radio. So, the skills I think we learned over the years are applicable in any number of fields. And Joe, I think you're the perfect example. Tell us what you're doing now.
Well, I'm working for a Catholic high school, which, Joe, Catholic high school? Here in Spring, Texas. We live in the Woodlands, which is about 20 miles north of Houston proper. And when we moved, my oldest daughter was going into her my youngest was going into her senior year at St. Pius in Albuquerque. And that was the real heartbreak about the whole deal, was like moving her into her senior year. But anyway, so she moved here, finished up at Frazzati Catholic High School here in Spring, which is a now 8-year-old Catholic high school, independent Catholic high school. And I was at Houston Public Media, so I worked for NPR and PBS for the last 2 years or so. And the opportunity came up to go into the development office and advancement and capital campaign. And I've got a lot of friends in the Houston area that I went to high school with that I've known for years that are doing this for other high schools. So again, timing's probably not in my friend all the time. I took the job and I was on campus 3 weeks and 3 days when we shut the campus down. And so right now we're doing like however many schools are around the country trying to figure out how we're going to open up in the fall. Hybrid model.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
And especially here in Houston, because things have really popped down here. So, that's where I'm at now. I'm working with the donor base, with the alumni parents, trying to develop funding for the school, because we don't get support from a parish. We don't get support from the archdiocese. We get support from our donor base and from our constituencies that want to support a Catholic high school in North Houston, because prior to us opening up, there had been a couple of schools that had come and gone, but the closest school was all the way back down into Houston. And I went to straight Jesuit in Houston, which is all the way on the other side of Houston. So from where we live, it's about an hour drive there. So if you only had a few options if you wanted to go to a Catholic high school. And so the Dominican sisters out of Nashville run it. And, we're small, but we're strong, and we're just keep going.
Awesome.
And it's sales essentially.
That you ended up there, and I'd like to share a little memory that I have about that. I think that it's safe enough for me to say, and Lynn, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I think Joe was the conscience of our show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I could go off on tangents that you and everybody else was trying to pull me back on. And then Joe would kind of, do that. Well, I don't know, if we should. And it would always center me out. But one thing that I always remember, Joe, and I'm not sure, we were going to lunch or something, and we were over by Old Town driving, and
going to Barreras.
We happened to see. We happened to see a man changing the tire on his car, and he was an older gentleman, perhaps like me, maybe. But Joe pulled over, and before I knew it, he says, "We got to help this guy."
No.
Okay, so we got out of the car, and Joe says, "Sir, can we help you change that tire?" And before I knew it, Joe was tucking in his tie, and I was grabbing a lug wrench and handing it to him, and in no time, we had the poor man's tire changed, and he was so grateful. And I felt like this is the coolest thing that, I don't know that I'd have done that on my own, Joe, but I'll always remember you for doing that you stepped up and did that. And it was kind of like, man, I hope I can be like Joe someday.
Oh, well, you're too kind. Yeah.
Maybe somebody will stop and help me change a tire someday.
I'll change your tire any day.
Okay, I have to read some of this that is coming in through one of the feeds. Manny Perea. Oh my gosh, Manny, what a dream! Oh, my heart. I ran into Manny. I was coming home I work on an archaeological site south of Albuquerque, about an hour and 15 minutes away, and I stopped in Los Lunas because I was dripping in sweat. I'd been all day in the dirt, and I'm covered, and I'm gross, and I hear, Lynn, Manny, and I was like, you are so fantastic. What great work you did with us. Oh, Manny Perea, I just absolutely adore you. Lisa Carrasco, what a doll. Susan Parr is there. Oh my gosh, great people. Okay, so that's on one of the feeds. I'm going to look at the other one. Leslie Granger's there. Gary Dahl. Oh my gosh, the boys. Gary Dahl. So fantastic. Trevor Hickle, Tommy Riley. And there's Erin Moya. She says, that's my former Erin Rizzo. She says, throwing me right under that bus. It was not throwing you under the bus, Erin. It was having good memories. And Terry Zini, Terry McClellan.
No.
Yes, Terry's there and she's watching.
She lives up in Georgetown, up north of Austin. So
is that
amazing?
A lot of us expat New Mexicans here in Texas now. So it's interesting to see where a lot of people have landed. We've got some friends that we knew in Albuquerque that are in Flower Mound now up near Dallas. So yeah, it only takes 5 or 6 hours to drive there, but we love it. So.
Oh, I have a story about Terry Zini, which was still her name at that point, I believe. As the news director, quote unquote, during my time there, I used to have to take part in a lot of corporate events and corporate things. One of them was coming up with a budget for my department, which was only, I think, 2 or 3 people at the most at any one time, people that did news during the rest of the day, and doing the annual report for the directors of the corporation, right? Well, you know me, I just when it came to corporate things, I couldn't take anything.
That was oil and water.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't gonna mix ever.
And I would write the most ridiculous things in the corporate reports that were just off the wall and stuff. And it got to the point where I don't remember who she was, an executive vice president somewhere or other, wrote to our general manager or called him and says, look, this guy does not know when he's not on the air. He doesn't know when to stop, in other words. And so what happened is poor Terry was enlisted to write the annual report because she at least wouldn't make fun of all the people who are reading it. I mean, I'd say stuff like, well, if you're reading this, first, you're an idiot. Second, everything I say and stuff. So they finally yanked me off of that duty, which was okay with me. I hated writing annual reports. And so poor Terry had to write at least one that I know of.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you, Terry.
I mean, when I was in sales with Terry for years, and Terry, I'm sure she knows this, but whenever we would have meetings, whoever was speaking, if they would say something that was contrary to a memo, Terry had saved everything, and she would pull out the file and goes, "Well, back in October, you said this," and we were like, "Terry, quiet," and she called him out on it. I was like, I was never that brave. I was never that brave, but yeah, she's awesome. Awesome.
I remember starting at KOBFM, and it was at the end of 1989. Well, it was August of '89, and Terry was the PSA director. And I remember meeting her, and she was pregnant. And she was just the most fantastic, kindest person. And she transitioned into sales and doing all the remotes with her at American Home Furnishings. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Joyce Rocher was our sales rep out there, old friend of mine from when I worked at Steak and Ale restaurant in college, and in Pelicans. And it was fun. Terry was just a sweetheart, absolute kind, wonderful person.
We definitely had the privilege of working with some great people throughout the company. We really did. And for those that maybe, like my brother, for instance, who aren't sure exactly what it is we did on a daily basis, he said he'd always hear about it from people back here in Albuquerque and stuff. But we essentially played, good music, which Joe chose and arranged and stuff. And I commented on the news, since I had a hard news career prior to joining KOBFM. I was a TV reporter here and Phoenix and Los Angeles. And then Lynn would round it out with the current events stuff that we did. And I think I'm safe in saying that at the end of the day, what we hoped to do was leave people with a smile on their face.
Absolutely.
And the thought that, hey, you know, everything's okay. The world's okay. I can go to work. I can take the kids to school. I can do whatever and know that, you know, everything's going to be okay. I think that was our goal.
Well, I've always thought, and you know, I learned from a lot of the best in the radio business. Early on, when I was on in Lubbock and then Austin, I did Beaumont for 5 months before coming to Albuquerque. When we signed on Cool 102, you know, there was always these small rules that you kind of go by. You know, when you open the mic, you're be informative, be entertaining, or be quiet, right? So these things like that you kind of become part of who you are when you're on the air. And then if you can bring something that brings some levity to it or bring some information to it, I never saw what we did is more important than, you know, the audience having a smile or, you know, maybe even getting a little shocked sometimes. But I never thought that we were more important than the people listening to us, right? And yeah,
it was for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, without the audience, what do you have? You know, you can talk all day. You can be the funniest human on the planet, but if nobody's listening, big deal, right? So it was certainly a very special time for me. And Phil, I got to thank you because you're the one that, you know, gave me the blessing to come on the show. You know, I interviewed with you and with John, and you pulled the trigger, and we made a run at it for a couple of years. And it was, like I said, the fact that anybody remembers it is just crazy. But, you know, in your case, since you were there for 20 some years, I could understand that. But I would literally have people out of the blue and most unusual places go, "Oh, Biondi from Biondi and the Bean." I'm like, yes, you know, thank you, you know. And it was always very, very humbling to have been a part of it and work with you guys and remain friends. Yeah.
To this day, too, people, you know, remember. My wife Debbie says, "I can't believe people still remember you were on the radio." You know, and I guess we did our jobs because it made people remember us, and that is precious to me. I mean, that's just to me. I can go wherever it is I go after this life and know that I brought some joy to a few people at least.
Sure. Well, that was your job.
So it was the people on the outside, the people that were listening that we brought joy to, that you every single day, you know, gave it everything that you had. But the management on the inside maybe might have a different take, because I'm getting reminders from many people I'm watching the scroll go through about setting the van on fire. Setting the van on fire. You know, and I think that, you know, just from, as he goes underneath the table, you know, things happen, right? And I think that the higher the ratings, the better things get for the listeners on the outside. The inner management is expecting more, and have thumbs down on us as a whole. And I think that every time a thumb was on us saying, "Y'all need to calm down," or whatever, like, nope, we got this. We got this. And I think one of the greatest things that both you, Phil, and Joe did was you went out and you did what you knew needed to be done. And you made the show happen, and you made the show good. And it's almost like, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this, and we'll beg for forgiveness later, right? And
well,
because this is what's in the best interest of the listener. And you know, it was just fun.
And I don't know about Joe. Probably he was more repentant than I, and probably still is. But
kind of got to be.
I called into the principal's office, if you will, and I got dressed down a few times. I probably really should have, because I probably went over the top. Like the time I we were in a meeting with a so-called consultant. Remember, consultants had come around and
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
stuff to do. And for some reason, did not like this guy or what he was saying. And I told him, I said, well, not him. I told someone else was there. I said, you might want to call for an ambulance about now to come to the station. I said, call for an ambulance, please. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm about ready to kick the out of this guy, and he's going to need it. At that point, they turned the meeting very quickly. I'm not proud of that, but it sure made me laugh.
Carolyn Fishman says, Bean, my favorite memory is surprising you with a live bear in the studio. It was rare that a salesperson could get to you.
A bear? Oh, wow.
You remember that?
Bear. Remember that? I don't remember a bear. I remember some other animals. I remember somebody brought a wolf one time, but a bear? Wow. Well, if anybody could do it, Carolyn did.
Yeah.
And probably did get to me. I'm still scared of bears to this day. That's the only animal I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of any other animal, but bears kind of get to me.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
One of
So Terry came back and she goes, Beanie, didn't set the van on fire. It was when Lynn and I were at a remote in the snowstorm. Wiring broke. Okay, but you know what? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I didn't break the van.
You were perfectly willing to let me take the blame, and I was going to.
It's easy. It's easy. I didn't do anything.
Okay, now I remember, Carolyn Fishman. It was from the Moscow Circus that was in town. Yes, the bear. Thank you very much. I'll never forgive you.
So one of the other things that we did, and kind of put a bow on this for the time being, is we produced a parody song called Icky Sticky Buns.
So good.
And it just took off. And we actually did it with the band, right? I think at the Rio Grande Zoo band show, we played that. I found the video that we produced, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it, and we'll run this. And I hope everybody understands it's all in good fun. If it lets me do it.
This was a parody to Achy Breaky Heart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's not letting me share. Hang on a second. Well, okay. I may have, I don't know what I did, but it's not letting me share the screen.
Well, I just remember it made me think that Mick Jagger ought to watch out for me. You know, that I was up and coming.
Yeah.
But we did have a lot of fun.
One of my favorites, though, was Ray and Mrs. G. When remember Ray, who was the sheriff, and he hired his wife as the undersheriff, and we did that parody of Me and Mrs. Jones to Ray and Mrs. G. And I walked into a Christmas party. It was right around Christmas, '91, and he was standing right there. And I went, "Hi, Sheriff," and he just kind of went, you know, and walked by me. So I was like, yeah, he doesn't like me. So anyway, well, I'm sorry about that. I was able to share this earlier, but it's not letting me.
Well, we'll get it next time. You know, when you guys were on the air, I did a little bit of research. It's what I do. Bruce King was the governor.
Right, Bruce King.
Oh, what a great man. And how crazy that Phil and I ended up working for his son. And Phil was the public information officer. I was Phil's deputy. And that was after we had been at Radio Disney together. And we just kind of went in this little thing. And how much fun was that? But we had Louis Saavedra as the mayor while we were on the air. And Bruce King was the governor. And I tried to find out, because I remember, I don't speak ill of the dead, that there was a relationship of sorts with Bob Schwartz. And I think he was the district attorney at that point. Wasn't he district attorney when we were on the air together?
Yes, he was, because I remember Bob well. Yeah.
Yeah, we played an April Fool's joke on Bob Schwartz, but he actually came in with us to play the joke on people. I think that was when we said that the zero gravity was going to let the prisoners float out of the prison.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And yeah.
All right. Well, I think. What? Go ahead.
I just said we definitely had some good times, and we got to work with some great people.
Amazing.
Joe and Lynn, it was my pleasure, and once again, Joe, I have to thank you for spearheading this and running this whole thing put together. And Lynn, of course, your usual aplomb in getting things off the screen ready for us.
That's right.
You know,
You look
still our
good.
producer.
You look good. That's what matters. You look good.
For an old man.
Yeah, you're not that old. You never will be.
Right.
There's something about the.
Next time, if we do this, we will figure out a way to get Icky Sticky Buns, because that was one of my favorite songs we ever did together, and to have a video of it is incredible. Yeah,
it was. You can. I have it on my YouTube channel, but it's unlisted, so I'd have to make it public. But anyway, well, everybody that tuned in, thank you so much for listening to us muse about our lives 28 years ago and everything that's happened since. Lynn, you're a rock star. She jumped into producer role like that on this deal. She was like, he was sending me links like, oh, this is what happened in 1992, and this is the song that was popular. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, I had to. It's a sickness. It's in here. It's something that's just in you, right? Just like you guys. The thought is in Joe's head, and his wheels start moving. I'm sure you tell Phil, his wheels start moving, and you start thinking about the what ifs, and if I say this, this will work, and boom, 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 and it all works out well. Always, because you guys have great brains.
Well,
you do have great brains.
Thank you for that. I just got a text that I think your old partner John Forsythe is watching right now. John, hello. I think you just joined. We're getting close to. Yeah, I think he's busy, hitting the beaches all around the world. So I'm jealous of his existence.
Lucky dog.
I know.
Yeah. He and I got our share of trouble too. I mean, I think that's what working on the radio was all about for a while, but good trouble.
Good trouble. It was very good trouble. Yeah. See, yes. Well, I think we all had fun. So it was awesome. It was awesome. So okay, we're at 42 minutes, which I didn't think we were going to go this long.
How did that happen?
Part of doing what we do or did was knowing when it was time to say goodbye.
So I think the way we used to sign it off was Phil said, "Bueno, bye."
Bueno, bye.
All right. Hey, I'll be in touch with you guys soon. Thank you, everybody, for
you guys
tuning
are awesome.
in.
Love
Love you. Miss you.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.